Can't get any worse. Podcast on blast, giving you the real talk, no holding back. Can't get any worse, we'll make you see. There's always a silver lining. We'll set you free, so join the movement. Let's change the game with the Can't Get Any Worse podcast.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the very first Can't Get Any Worse fight breakdown. Is that what we're going to call it? I don't even know what we're going to call it. To be honest, I sat down, I tried to come up with some clever names, trying to incorporate like MMA or UFC into like, I don't know, the fucking Ultimate Fighting Can't Get Any Worse picks or something, or the mixed missing arts, I don't know. And they all like exactly, they just sound as gay as they just sounded to you guys listening. So I think we're just going to call it like whatever pay-per-view it is, breakdown. So for example, this episode will be UFC 310 breakdown. I think we just keep it simple for now. Why overcomplicate things? But welcome to the very first one, the inaugural one, I suppose you'd call it. I think does that mean first? I don't know. But straight off the bat, we're straight into the stupidness. I'm rocking the Conor McGregor shirt for the first one. Who else to wear for the very first MMA breakdown than one of the legends themselves? So let's rip right in. I don't know how long this is going to go for. Like I said, very first one. So buckle in. Could be 10 minutes. Could be half an hour. I don't know. But if you've come here looking for facts and really logical breakdowns and things like that, you're not in the right place. You've come to the wrong podcast, because basically what you'll hear from here on in is me breaking down the fights, more or less picking every fucking dog on every card, because I could bet on 30 favorites, right? But I just get no joy out of that. Like, what's the fun in betting on $1.15 favorite, and then he wins and you're like, oh, cool, I just made 15 cents on my dollar. Or you could play the risk game. You could be on the couch, on the edge of your seat, watching these guys punch each other in the face, knowing that if he gets one lucky hit in, your $4.50 underdog has just paid off. Now you get to text everyone you know and go, I fucking knew it. I knew he was going to get the knockout. I knew Holly Holm was going to travel all the way to Australia and head kick knockout the woman that put women's mixed martial arts on the map. I knew that. I didn't know that. I was a bit of a Ronda Rousey dick rider back in the day, and that broke my heart to see that. One of my heroes just collapsed in front of us all. But let's get in. Let's rip right in. We're going to start from the early prelims. Now, I've heard a couple of podcasts this week shit on this card, and for the life of me, I don't understand why. Now, the amount of names from top to bottom on this card is insane. I would have to put it up there as one of... Okay, let's preface this by saying this. Are there any huge superstars on the card? No, there isn't. The main event that was supposed to be on this one was Bilal Muhammad versus Shavkat Rakhmonov. That fell through, obviously, and now they've what's the word? Fumbled for a new main event. They've got one. Is it the best main event in the world? No. Do I want to watch it? Not particularly, but we're going to talk about that more in depth when we get to it. But I would put this up there as, I don't know, top 2 or 3 cards of the year if you had to compare fights from top to bottom. Like almost every fight on this, I'd say 70% of the fights we're going to go through could headline your average fight night, like your every week fight night. And now we've just got them all back to back to back. Other interesting thing I noticed about this card, 0 women's fights, which, I don't know, first pay-per-view I remember in recent history that we haven't had a women's fight. Normally they cram one in there somewhere. And the last year or so, we haven't really had any exciting ones. Like, since Amanda Nunes left, there hasn't really been that much talent coming through the women's pool. But anyway, like I said, let's rip in. So early prelims, fight number 1. Now, this is not the way that you want to kick off your first fight breakdown of a UFC pay-per-view podcast, but if I had to skip one fight on this entire card, it's the very first fight. Now, it's in the heavyweight division. I don't even know how to pronounce either of their names, so let's give it a crack. Kennedy Nazchenkwu versus Lucas Bresky. Neither of them interest me. The heavyweight division is on the decline to the max until Aspinall and John Jones work out what the fuck they're doing with their lives. So I don't know. If I had to make a pick, I would have to go with the one that has the nickname the African Savage, purely based on the nickname status. Now, see the logic behind that pick right there? That is where this is all going to. I'm joking. The rest of the picks do have a minor bit of logic behind them, but okay, this is how it's all worked out. 10% logic, 90% fucking heart and gut feel. Now, is that always right? No, it's not. It's almost always wrong. But as long as your sports bet account can remain at that constant level, do you ever really lose? I don't see that as losing. Some UFCs, you get huge wins. The next one, you lose it all. As long as you're not depositing an extra $50 every pay-per-view, you're sweet. Everyone's happy. The next one. This one's crazy as well. So, UFC legend, Clay Guida, the dude has to be about 70 years old by now, but he's got a million fights under his belt. He's fighting this young kid who's up and coming, Chase Hooper. And I was on his bandwagon for a little bit. I was on the Chase Hooper bandwagon, but his last couple of fights have just been, I don't know, they haven't really caught me. He came into UFC with all this hype behind him, and I just feel like he let it slip through his hands. Like, I don't think he capitalized on it. So I really feel like he needs to go out there and make a statement this weekend if he wants to continue making that name for himself. If he loses this fight, I would imagine, I don't want to say it, but that could be the end of the Chase Hooper bandwagon. But again, the other thing I couldn't understand is why there's so much hype behind him, because making these picks, I looked up his record. He's 6-3, which is crazy to me. To be a young up-and-comer, like, you look at people like Ilia Topuria and stuff like that, they're undefeated, like 16-0, things like that. And now this dude's just got all this hype for being 6-3. That's 6 wins and 3 losses for anyone that isn't privy to the MMA knowledge that I'm dropping here. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm gonna go Clay Guida in that purely because of the odds. He is paying $6.70. That is nuts to put that amount of money on a UFC legend's head. Like I said, one wrong move and then it's night for Chase Hooper. $6.70 is ridiculous to walk past without throwing a cheeky 5 at it. So that's my pick for that. Again, we're going legend after legend. Michael Chiesa. He was out for a while with an injury. He's back now. He got his last win was huge. That's right, over Tony Ferguson. I understand Tony Ferguson's back end of his career was not peak Tony Ferguson that we all want to remember. Let's not remember Tony from his previous few fights. Previous 7 fights, I think it was. I think he's on like a 6 or 7 fight lose streak, which is insane. But he's just sticking around purely because of the name. So yeah, we got Michael Chiesa versus Max Griffin. Now, my heart says, let's go Michael Chiesa. Let's stick to, hey, when you first started watching the UFC, what were all the names in the roster? All right, that's who you're going to support for the rest of your life. Okay, Michael Chiesa was there. Fuck this new up-and-coming Max Griffin guy. In saying that, he's not that new. He's been around for a while as well. But I'm ride or die. I don't know. I think I have to go... What have I written up here? Michael Chiesa... that's my pick. Michael Chiesa, $2.10. I just wrote a note up there that before his win over Ferguson, his last 3 losses were to Kevin Holland, absolute beast in the division, Sean Brady, his name's been thrown around for the next title shot, and Vicente Luque, again, another UFC great in his own right. To look at this guy and put him as the underdog in this fight because of that is insane to me. So put all your money on Michael Chiesa. We're on a roll. You guys are going to message me after the first 3 fights and go, I've never seen this much money in my life. I don't know what to do with it. Fuck crypto. Fuck stocks, I'm going to follow James's picks from now on in. So you're welcome to date. What else we got? Cody Durden. Hang on, I'm just scrolling up I'm on the UFC website as well, so I can have their stats alongside my notes. Again, first episode might be a bit clunky. This is the first time I'm doing it, so send me any notes of how you think could make it better. Again, if I had a in-studio producer that was scrolling and like doing all this shit for me, shit would flow easier. But it is what it is. Cody Durden versus Joshua Van. This is probably, if I had to take another toilet break, potentially this one. Does it have potential to be an absolute banger of a fight, though? Yes, it does. But do I see it being that way? No, not at all. Because looking at both their records to get this ready, they both love a decision. I think, what did I work out? I think it was like 6 of their last 10 combined fights all went to decision, which screams unexciting. So for this one, I've simply just picked fight to go the distance. So I haven't picked a fighter for this one just because it's a flip of a coin for me. So fight to go the distance is almost guaranteed money. You heard it here first. Then, get this right, to cap off the early prelims. I know what you're thinking. James, surely you're talking about the prelims. No. I'm talking about the early prelims, the ones that don't even get televised in Australia unless you've got UFC Fight Pass. Okay, what could possibly headline that? I don't know. Potentially ex-UFC champion Chris Weidmann. So this fight was scheduled for the last pay-per-view or the one before, 308 or 309, I forget. And it all fell to pieces because Eric Anders got an injury. So now they've bumped it onto the early prelims of this card, which A, feels somewhat disrespectful to Chris Weidmann, just the name in the sport. But where else do you put him? The dude wants to make money. He had no choice but to not fight on the last card. He blew up at the UFC. He's like, I want my show money. UFC basically did what they do and go, mate, you'll shut up and do what you're told. You will show up when we tell you to. And if there's a bit of money left in the bottom of the money bank at the end of the pay-per-view that Dana White doesn't want to spend at the poker table, we'll send it your way. Here's $50. Take your kid to Disneyland. So I want Chris Weidmann to win purely as a give the legend a send out. Perfect situation, right? I want to see Chris Weidmann win, and I want to see him lay his gloves down in the octagon, retire on top. Either way I think this goes. I think Weidmann has to retire. I think I even what is this? Yeah, I pretty much just put that. I think Weidmann has a point to prove against the UFC, basically saying fuck you and fuck your money. And he also has, oh my goodness, my dog is in here. Bailey, hop out. And he's also got his legacy to protect, obviously, being a UFC great. So Chris Weidmann, he's only paying $1.85, but throw him in a multi or something if you've got some spare change to throw around. Let's go to the prelims now. Kicking off the prelims with Randy Brown versus Brian Battle. Now, what is going on here? My dog is going nuts. I feel like maybe I should let her out. All right, I'll be back. 1 sec. All right, I'm back. Sorry, I'm a bit on edge with the outdoor activities at the moment, and we will touch on that on next Tuesday's episode. But for now, let's focus on the UFC. So where was I? Randy Brown, Brian Battle, both absolute beasts in their own right, I think. A lot of people are picking Brian Battle for this fight, and I suppose if you're smart, that would probably be your pick. Seems to be what all the experts are going with, but you'll never guess it. I am going against the grain. I've chosen Randy Brown for this fight at $2.86, which is nuts. And I put up here, I looked at his record. He's lost one of his last 8 fights, and that was against Jack Delamena, who's an Australian beast who a lot of people have got potentially as a future champion in this division. So and it's not like he's just beat bums and shit like that. They're all names in the division. So I don't know. They're both on pretty impressive win streaks, minus a few little scuff marks here and there. But I think you've got to entertain Randy Brown at $2.86. Easy money. We are where are we going for dinner tonight? What should we go get? Should we go to Hog's Breath? Should we get a steak with salt and pepper calamari toppers? I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with all my money I'm going to make. Maybe I'll invest in a whiskey brand like Conor McGregor and follow in his footsteps. Next fight is... now this one. Buckle in, ladies and gentlemen. Buckle in. This one, I thought I was insulted at Chris Weidmann being put on the early prelims. Now, this one gobsmacked me. I did not understand any logic behind anything I'm about to say, okay? Let me take a sip of my water while this giant helicopter flies over my house. Next fight is Movsar Evloev versus Aljo Sterling. Aljamain Sterling. Aljo is paying $3 to win, which I understand it's only his second fight in this new weight division that he's moved up to. But he is an ex-UFC champion. Like, I think we need to put some respect on his name. I put five of Aljo's last 6 fights were title fights, to which he only lost one of them. And to have him at a $3 paying fucking bet blows my mind. Again, easy money. If I'm going to touch on this at the end, like I've got my guarantee locks for the week, if you do want to double with a bit of money and thank me in my DMs, Aljo has to be one of them. You have to put a sneaky $10 on Aljamain Sterling at $3 to get the win. The dude is a grappling beast. He just used to be, like, everyone used to wear him as a backpack. They could not get him off their back. And then he would just slowly work and get you in that choke. I don't know if you guys can hear that helicopter, but it is very annoying. You guys are probably just thinking I'm sitting here going insane right now, but I'm not. Couple of head knocks, couple of UFC head knocks to the head, and now I'm hearing helicopters. But what? Hang on. No. Oh yeah, that's what I had. So 5 of Aljo's last 6 fights were title fights, which he only lost one, and he's only lost one in his last 11 fights overall, which is insane. So then I started to look at statistics for this other bloke. I'm like, okay, yes, I've seen him fight before. Does his name jump out at me for any real reason? No. So I'm like, all right, let's see what this bloke's done to make Aljo such an out there bet for everyone. This guy is undefeated. So I'm like, okay, we're dealing with a serious motherfucker here. Let's see who he's beaten and by what. No real names that he's beaten, and all 8 wins have come via decision. 0 finishes in this dude's record, which blew my mind. Like, Dana White hates people that can't get the finish. So how is he still even in the UFC? Now, if you want to grind out a fight, the last person you want to grind a fight out with, actually probably the second last, the last person you want to grind a fight out with is probably Khabib. Second last person, Aljamain Sterling. That helicopter is like right over my house. I do not know what is going on. I'm going to go suss it out. I'll be back again. All right, he's back again. Crazy fact for you guys. It wasn't a helicopter. It was the council mowing down beside my house. So I was like, fuck, that's loud. Reason being, it's directly on the other side of this wall. I thought there was like a shootout or something. Anyway, I'm pretty sure we sucked Aljo's dick enough. So on to the next one. Let me scroll up here to the UFC website. Vicente Luque versus Themba Gorimbo. Now, a big reason I haven't done this UFC stuff in the past is I've been shit scared of pronouncing like the Russian names, the African names, things like that. But fuck it, we're going in, we're going all in. So yeah, Vicente Luque, Themba Gorimbo, I think it says. Look, like I said earlier, Vicente is a legend of the sport, but I think he is now seen as the gatekeeper of the division. They're just giving these young up-and-coming lions this bloke to up against. If they beat him, they get fast-tracked onto like that title path. So I think Gorimbo gets it done, but like I said, Vicente, he still has it in him, I think. So I would be going fight to go to decision, fight to go distance. I would not pick a fighter on this one. Steer clear. Now, the main event of the prelims, we've got Dominic Reyes versus Anthony Smith. Both huge title contenders at one point in both their careers. Both fought John Jones, the GOAT. Both at one point I was like, is this going to be the bloke that beats John Jones? Knowing deep down that no, but neither of these guys were going to. But did I want to entertain it? Did I want to see the mighty fall at one point? And now I'm on the other side and I'm like, nobody can beat John Jones. The mower is back again. I don't know if you guys can hear that. So this is sick. This is going about as well as I thought. But this is another pick'em fight to me. Because of that, you've got to go Anthony Smith just because he's the underdog and he's paying $3.66. $3.66 in light heavyweight or heavyweight is insane. Like when those big boys start swinging, it just takes one of them to get clipped and they get dropped. So, hang on. Oh, no, I might have fucked that up. Yeah, no. Anthony Smith. Yeah. And he's the same deal as Chris Weidmann. I want to see him get this victory. Gloves down in the octagon. I think that could be what we come out of this weekend with is a lot of these greats that they've stacked this card with, potentially going gloves down in the octagon, see us later. I could be wrong, but that's just what I see playing out. Now, let's get on to the main card. What we all came for. I don't even know how long we've been going for because I had to stop for the dog and then stop for the helicopter/lawnmower. Let's have a sip before we rip into the main card. All right, Nate Landwehr versus Ho Choi. Or Chow. No, it's Choi. It's Choi. It's definitely Choi. Don't fucking second guess yourself because then you'll have people like Adrian come and call you racist. So Ho. You know what? I'm not even fucking saying it again. The Korean fighter. There we go. So I don't know. This fight doesn't really interest me, but this Nate bloke can stand and bang. So I'm keen. I feel like let's just say Choi. I feel like Choi has a point to prove because he's coming back from a pretty decent layoff. But yeah, like I said, Nate can swing for the fences. So I'm going to go Nate at $1.67 for this. And now we're getting into the fights that I actually care about. Now, this next one, Bryce Mitchell versus Gracie. Now, this is a prime example of how far a last name can take you in the UFC. The Gracie name is held at the highest standard in UFC, Jiu-Jitsu, all those worlds, right? If you've got the last name Gracie, everyone will be like, you've got my respect. Now, Gracie came into the UFC, again, much like Chase Hooper earlier. I was on the bandwagon. I'm like, holy shit, this bloke's going to be the next UFC champion. Has his career panned out that way? No, it hasn't. Has he had a pretty ordinary career and that's being polite? Yes. In UFC, sorry, not jiu-jitsu. Let's take that out of it. Just in the UFC. Now, he's coming up against another grappler in Bryce Mitchell. Now, Bryce Mitchell is the MMA Theo Von. If you haven't seen Theo Von's podcast with Bryce Mitchell, it's legit like Theo looking in a mirror and just doing a podcast with himself. Now, this dude is full redneck, like catches gators and shit, thinks the world's flat. He is all into conspiracy theories. He's just your deep, deep South American. Just go listen to some clips from him. But this is this is the whole card to me. I do not understand the betting odds on this card. And I could get to next week and go, okay, Sportsbet was right. I'm a fucking idiot, just like every other UFC main event. But like I said, it just takes one or two of these to pay off. You've at least got your money back, or you're in the clear. Even if you're not in the clear, how good is it to go to work on Monday, know that you're fucking $100 down from all the fights, but you just picked that one fight that everyone was like, oh, I never would have guessed. How good is that? You can just go to work, even though you're in the negative, and go, oh, I picked fucking Matt Serra to beat GSP back in the day. And then everyone's like, oh, we should listen to James about his UFC tips. And then he kits out his garage and sets up a podcast studio just for you guys to listen to his tips as well. Anyway, moving on. Bryce Mitchell is paying $5.50 to beat Gracie. Now, if you don't have the money, stay away from this fight. if you do have a cheeky tenner to throw away, if you've got $10 you don't even know is in the bottom of your wallet right now, throw it on Bryce Mitchell. $5.50 is insane. Like, this is how I see this fight going, and I could be completely wrong, but let's throw a stab in the dark. They are both expert grapplers, right? In their own right. Everyone in the division is scared of them both purely because of their grappling. Now, Dana and the UFC has put this fight together to witness a perfect grappling event. They want this to go straight to the ground in the very first seconds. Do I see that happening? No. No, I don't. Sometimes when this happens, you get the opposite. You're going to get two guys that basically tiptoe around the octagon for 3 rounds because they're both scared to take each other down and get submitted. They don't want to feel that shame of being submitted by the other person. So could this lead to a very, very C-grade kickboxing match for 3 rounds? I think it might. And I see that where it's going. And based on that, I see Bryce Mitchell's kickboxing a couple of tiers up from Gracie. Crone can only grapple. That's all he can do. But could be wrong. Throw some money at it. Thank me later. Cyril Gane versus Alexander Volkov. Another one I just cannot believe. Volkov at $3.50 is easy money. If I had 2 locks for this card, Aljo Sterling and Alexander Volkov, lock them in. You want to make some money on Sunday? Lock those 2 in, guaranteed. Gane's performance against Jones, I can still not get over. It was one of the most disgusting performances I've ever seen. It was like he did not even attempt to be in there, but he's going up against the GOAT, so who blames him? Cyril Gane has also been filming a movie for the last 12 months or so. So has his training been as good as it once was to get him to that title position? I would assume not. Is he still in the gym kicking pads and stuff? Sure. In a underground French gym that he trains in. That's not a sly on the bloke. That's genuinely where he trains. But yeah, Volkov, his last loss was against Tom Aspinall 2 years ago, which everyone is seeing as the next heavyweight champ. So, I mean, your last loss was 2 years ago. I think he's racked up like 3 or 4 wins since then. And now they've got you at a $3.50 underdog against some bloke that is filming a movie and lost against the GOAT. I don't understand. Also, in Volkov's last fight, his coaches pulled out a comb and were combing his hair while he was sitting on the stool. Can you be any more calm and collected than that? So, Volkov gets the win. On to the co-main. Now, Shavkat Rachmanov, there we go, versus Ian Garry. Now, this is the classic somebody's O has got to go. 2 undefeated fighters, 2 prospects that have fought their way all the way to a title shot. This has to be seen as the number 1 contender fight. Whoever wins this gets the next shot at the title. This was supposed to be a title shot for Shavkat, but Bilal Muhammad fell out with his toe injury or whatever. So they got this together, and hats off to him for going, all right, I'll fight Ian Garry, who, look, another one. I've fallen off the bandwagon a little bit. He's come into the UFC trying to be the next Conor McGregor. Just come in and be yourself, buddy. We don't need another Conor. You're never going to repeat what Conor came in and did. So he's sort of following in Conor's footprints. His last fight or 2, he's slowly breaking away from that cookie cutter and becoming himself. But I don't know. I do not see Ian Machado winning this in any way. I've heard opposite opinions, obviously, as you do in the MMA world, but Shavkat's a fucking animal. That dude he jumps on you and he does not let you breathe. So for that, the odds for Shavkat to win are fuck all. It's like $1.15 or something. So I'm going Shavkat by submission, paying $2.65, which to me, more easy money. This episode should be UFC 310 breakdown / easy money. Oh fuck. You wait. I don't even want to record Tuesday's episode just for you guys to be like, what the fuck were all those picks? But anyway, on to the main event. Now, has this card been insane up until now? Yes, it has. Does the main event have potential to be a good fight? Sure it does. Now, it's in the flyweight division, which is seen as the UFC's black eye. Nobody really respects it. Nobody really pays attention to it. The blokes are tiny. They never usually hit hard enough to knock each other out. If there's a finish, it's normally always a submission. Pantoja has fought the two contenders in this division like 3 times each. So the UFC needed to shake this division up. How have they done it? They've gone and got the Rizin champion. Rizin is another like MMA organization in Japan. So they've gone and got him, Kai Asakura. So I don't even know if I said who's fighting. So Alexandre Pantoja versus Kai Asakura. So they've gone and got another title holder in another organization just to try and breathe some life in this division. So I don't know. I've done and that's the other thing. The UFC doesn't give any information on this bloke because they don't want to promote another organization. Fair enough, I suppose. So I had to go and do my own digging. He's got 21 wins. 13 of those are by knockout. Now, purely for the theatrics of it and purely to breathe life back in the division, I'm picking Kai Asakura. I just think that the division needs it, for sure. They need a little kick up the arse. He's coming in at $3.10 to win, which again, we don't know what to expect. I've never sat down and watched one of his fights. I watched a couple of highlights, which looked impressive, but fuck, if I put a highlight package together of this podcast, people would probably be like, okay, not bad. Let's go listen to that. Meanwhile, fucking 3 people every week listen. But that's my pick for the main event. Kai Asakura, lock it in. My guaranteed bets for the UFC 310, Aljo Sterling at $3 and Alexander Volkov at around the $3 mark as well. If you don't fucking put money on those two, you don't even want to make money this UFC card. So lock them in. Come see me on Tuesday. Send me a DM on Instagram. Go, fuck, thanks for making us some easy money this week, mate. I was down to my last packet of noodles and now I'm eating shrimp. The whole family is eating shrimp. So thank you very much. Can't Get Any Worse podcast. That's about all I've got. That's about all I've got for this breakdown. So let me know if you guys enjoyed it. I'm probably going to keep doing it because, to be fair, I love chatting shit about the UFC. Maybe every now and then I'll get someone in. Like I know Cody that's been on the podcast lives and breathes UFC as well. So it might be fun to get him in for a couple of cards and shoot the shit. But even as an extension on this, I'm contemplating, I've spoken about like the whole live streaming aspect for a while as well. And grand scheme, I'd love to do this breakdown and then sit down and live stream during the card. And obviously probably post that after the card's finished or something as another episode and just pretty much break down how wrong I was in all this. But let me know if you liked it. Let me know if you want to see it again. Let me know if you'll go, fuck this, I'm just going to listen to every Tuesday's episode. But appreciate it if you did make it through this fuckery with the helicopter, lawnmower, dog, everything else that just is a shambles around here. Stay tuned for Tuesday's episode. Got some big fucking news on the homeless front. And if I don't talk to you by then, I will see you later.